Hey, what is going on, everyone? I'm Brox, and I'm your average gamer who plays good games poorly. And today I'm bringing you a noob's guide to Xerath. Now, Xerath is a champ that I have played a lot of, and he's a champ that I hold near and dear to my heart, and so I had to make a guide on him. And that's kind of why he's kind of second on the list here. So, Xerath is an artillery mage with great range and impeccable poke. However, he does suffer from immobility, and he's very skill shot reliant. All four of his abilities are skill shots. So let's kind of go over his abilities. We're going to start off with his Q. His Q is a long range skill shot that grows in length the longer you charge it. That being said, it also slows Xerath down, and if you do end up going over the cast time, it refunds 50% of the mana that you would use. Overall, just a very simple skill that you can kind of send out and do whatever. Now his W. His W drops a big circle on the ground, and if you look as he casts an animation, you'll see a little pin, as well as if I hover over, you'll see a smaller circle inside of the bigger circle. So, the W does damage to anyone hitting it and slows them. But if you hit them inside the smaller circle, it does more damage and a bigger slow. And lastly, you have his E. His E is a straight line skill shot that shoots out an orb and stuns the target that it hits. The further that you shoot the skill shot, the longer the stun acts for. And if we go over here, I put a target dummy, and you'll see when I auto-attacked it, it gave me mana back. Now, the target dummy technically acts as a champion. And how the passive works is that you gain mana back depending on whether you hit a champion or a minion. You gain twice as much mana back when you hit a champ than you do a minion. So if we go over here to the Veigar, cast some spells, try to waste some mana, we'll walk up, slow him down a bit, and we'll auto-attack him. You'll see I got like 50% of a mana bar there. Now if I go stun him, waste my mana, wait for my passive to come back up, and hit a minion, I got, a quarter of my mana back. So it is a big difference between choosing to hit a minion or a champ. So if it does come up that you can hit a champion in lane, definitely take the opportunity. Lastly, you have his ult. And the reason I say lastly is his ult is kind of a finisher. I tend that you either start fights or finish fights with his ult. And that's because when you press his ult, you end up immobile and you have a super long range to shoot from. For some reason on the practice tool, it's being finicky. There we go. And yeah, with each tap of the R button, you shoot off another round of his artillery. At rank 1, you only get 3 shots. At rank 3, you get 5. Obviously, rank 2, you get 4. But that's kind of his breakdown on his abilities. They're all skill shots. They're all easily dodgeable, but if you get good at landing them, you can and will become very powerful in your games. He farms minions great, like you just saw, and he has fantastic poke. Stay behind his own minions, farm as well as poke people from a very far distance. I guess in mid lane is probably a better example, but I mean, he farms the back minions with just 2 spells, and if I'm back here, I'm hitting halfway across the lane. Like, I'm covering the entire distance of the width of the river, which I think is just fantastic. Yeah, that's his breakdown on his abilities, and yeah, let's move on to the items. One quick thing that I did forget to mention, guys, is the combo with his abilities. I guess let's go back out here. Let's generate a, I guess we can just go back to our target dummy. There we go. So, the combo that you kind of want to do on Xerath is you want to try to land an E, hit the W in the center, and then charge up your Q just enough to hit them with the tip. And that overall is going to do a dumb amount of damage. Like, and it's pretty easy to get used to. It's something that I often end up doing on Xerath is you end up getting ADCs that want to chase you. I think it's because you have very low mobility and they think they can catch you. But as they're chasing you, if you land a stun on them and they walk into it, I have one-shot ADCs with this combo. They go from 100 to 0, like just poof. So I thought I'd better add that in just so you guys know the basic combo. When it comes to trading in lane, one other thing I should mention is you can't always get the E off because it'll hit a minion. So if you're just trying to get some good harass in lane, you can just W them and then hit them with the Q. But you don't want to trade too much because you do have mana issues. Like, if you're not regularly proccing your auto attacks on champions, you will run out of mana far too quickly for you to get your lost chapter. And that kind of brings us into his items now. So when we're talking about his items, you're going to want to start with a Doran's Ring, 2 health pots, and a Warding Totem. That's just his very standard, let's do this, let's go. Now, on your first back, what you're hoping to get is a Lost Chapter. Lost Chapter builds into Ludens. Ludens gives you a massive power spike. It clears the back wave with just your Q, your W. It's great. That being said, not every matchup will allow you to do that. If you're against a hard matchup, like a hard AD matchup, let's say, go Seekers. It'll help you save against Talon, Zed, Yasuo, those sort of champs. Anything that wants to do high AD damage to you that's probably an assassin, you're going to want to rush as Seekers. Things like a Fizz or a Diana that are going to try to all in you at level 6, because they are mages and kind of rely on that more, in my opinion. You're going to want to get a Null Magic Mantle pretty early. That extra 25 magic resist throws a lot of people off, and it's just enough to protect you, usually from losing the level 6 all-in. So that being said, these are kind of your early game options. You want the Lost Chapter, but if you have to, settle on one of these, and obviously, don't forget your control words. From there, you want boots. I don't know if you've noticed, but Xerath floats very slowly. Like, without boots, he might as well just hover and not move at all. So with boots, he's a little speedier. He might be able to dodge 1 or 2 more skill shots. But you're definitely going to want to get Sork boots earlier than not. So between Sork boots and Ludens, that is your, like, first power spike. This is where you probably start being able to poke people out of lane, start catching some people unexpectedly at Dragon. And from there, you're going to want to go into Rabadons, assuming things are going even or well for you. If you're behind, probably go Zhonya's. It'll probably save you from most all-ins. Because if you're behind, it's probably because you're facing an all-in champ. I should mention that Zhonya's is also the perfect counter to press R to win champs. Things like Zed, Yasuo, Diana, Fizz, even Vigar, if you time it right, you can counter his ult. That's where Zhonya's comes in, and you're going to want to rush Zhonya's if you're facing a champ like a Zed or a Fizz. Otherwise, you should be pretty safe to go Rabadons. Now, when you start getting into the mid-game, you're going to start dealing with the tanks. Assuming anyone decides to actually run a tank, it's kind of rare in lower elos. Everyone seems to think they're a carry. They're not. But, at that case, depending on what they have, if they built a lot of armor, you can probably go Leandries and just try to burn their health away. However, good chance they probably built a Spirit Visage or something annoying. That's what a Void Staff is for. You're gonna just chunk through their MR, Magic Resist, and hopefully just keep poking them for a lot more. Now, occasionally you're gonna deal with champs like Soraka, or people that like to heal, or pick a Bloodthirster. Those people need to be stopped. Your tanks aren't going to build Thornmail like they're supposed to. Your carries aren't going to build Executioner's Calling like they're supposed to. It is now your job to build a Morellonomicon to try and stop them from healing. Because that's the only way you're going to end up winning these team fights that your team desperately wants to lose. And lastly, Diana, stop. Diana, I've found, has been one of the most relentless laners since her rework. And that's where the Banshee's Veil kind of comes in. It gives you a little bit of magic resist, still gives you some AP, some cooldown reduction, and that lovely little shield to help block her first Q. That way she's jumping in on you, she suddenly can't do, I'd say, a good third of her damage because you blocked that much. And obviously, if you get to the point when you're 50 minutes in, which, because of Xerath's wave clear, is not unreasonable, you can stall games out very well, you're going to end up finishing with an Elixir of Sorcery at some point. And of course, don't forget your control words. I do have to mention, because Xerath is unbelievably slow, like look at this, he floats so slow. You're not going to want to have a warding totem trinket. You're not going to be able to get close enough to put down a ward and get out alive. Farseat. Farseat? Farsight. Alteration. This is what's going to save you. It's doesn't give as much vision, it has a longer cooldown, but you don't die when you ward. So no one can say you're not warding, you're just warding slower. But yeah, I think that kind of takes care of Xerath's items. They're, again, a very basic core items, and then everything to kind of deal with the situation at hand. Are they killing you? Do you need to kill them? Stop healing. Like, just stop. Alright? So with that being said, I think now we get to move on to Xerath's runes. Alright, so Xerath's runes. I always take Arcane Comet for two reasons. One, you're going to be poking them all the time. You're going to be casting your Q, hitting them hopefully, and then you'll get a little bit of arcane damage as well. The other reason is there's nothing more satisfying when you almost kill someone with your last shot of your ult, and suddenly you see this little comet come flying out of nowhere and you get a 400 gold shutdown. No better feeling. It's wonderful. Mana Flow Band. You guys saw earlier, he burns mana like it's going out of style. He just eats it. Mana Flow Band kinda helps fix that. Between Mana Flow Band and his passive, come late game, he's not usually running out of mana. You can survive a couple of team fights without it. Transcendence, you don't get a ton of CDR in your build. You obviously get 20% from Ludens. You get another 10% if you build Zonias. So this gives you 40% but with the Transcendence. And then Scorch. Again, your whole purpose in lane is to CS well and to poke them occasionally. Between Arcane Comet and Scorch, these help and compound onto that. In our secondary tree, I like to go Inspiration with Cosmic Insight. Again, more CDR. So if we end up building a Zonias here, you have 45% CDR, putting your Q at like under a 3-second cooldown, which is just ridiculous. And then on top of that, I like to go for Biscuits. If you're fighting things like Zed, Fizz, those hard matchups that I talked about earlier, you're going to want to go Stopwatch. You know, it's a free 600 gold into the Zonias that you're probably already going to rush. And it's a free save from their probably level 7 or 8 all-in, since they decided to keep nerfing it so you can't get it for level 6. But that I only take Stopwatch in those situations. Now, I'm going to talk about summoners. There are a few different summoners. Obviously, Flash. Everyone takes Flash. And you don't, well, you're probably taking Ghost as well. F is for Flash, for anyone wondering. It will remain on this key. No one can change my mind. Now, the other key is, I often use Teleport. Teleport is fantastic. You often run into situations where you're kind of getting into some early skirmishes, or you end up running out of mana because you have to cast to last hit all of your creeps. So it allows you to have an early back without getting punished too hard. Another option is to go barrier, again with those hard matchups if you're fighting the Zed, the Fizz. Between barrier and the stopwatch, you can survive their first couple of all-ins, and they can't do much about it. And if they don't get that early snowball, you dominate come the mid and late game. But that's kind of everything that I have to say about Xerath's items. So if you guys did like this video and found it helpful, please give me a like. And if you didn't, or there was something you didn't like about the video, put a dislike and leave a comment for me. Let me know how you're feeling about these. If there's a champ that you'd like to see done, let me know. I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe if you want to see more noob-generated content. Thank you guys, and see ya.